Spring is a very beautiful and tragic time in Japan. It's beautiful because the air is sweet, the temperature is comfortably warm, and many flowers are beginning to bloom, including Japan's national flower, the sakura. During spring, there is even a tradition called ohanami, specifically dedicated to simply walking around and enjoying the beauty of blooming flowers. In Kuroshio, there are loads of beautiful flowers, and especially while driving through towns or in the mountains, you can easily spot the pink, graceful sakura trees. Spring is also tragic because it is the season of change, and not just for nature. Japanese students graduate to high school and junior high respectively. Public school teachers finish their 3 to 4 years and face relocation. And the business year ends, so some people retire or move to a new job. I know for myself, the new year meant I had to say goodbye to many of my elementary schools, as I would predominantly work at a junior high. It also meant I had to say goodbye to over half the teaching staff at my junior high, and nearly half of the education department at my board of education. It was tough for me because I had built up a relationship with those schools, students, teachers, and people, and now I had to move on from that. It's kind of a weird sadness. I guess this is the best way to describe it. It felt like I was leaving my family in Canada all over again. So the whole month of March I was kind of down, as every week I was heartbroken and saying goodbye to more and more people I had grown to love. I can't imagine how tough the public school system is for teachers here. In Kochi, they have 2 weeks notice whether or not they'll be transferred to a new school. The school they are transferred to could be incredibly far away, forcing them to actually have to move from their current home. I can see the benefit of changing the teaching roster, namely giving students variety and potentially replacing a poor teacher with a better one, but the whole process is so foreign to me. In Canada, many teachers that taught my parents also taught me too, and at the same school. Like it or not, I guess it's just the way public school is handled here in Japan. Moving on from heartbreak for a moment, the weather in Kuroshio has been a mixture of hot and cold, with the occasional rainy day thrown in for good measure. The humidity is very noticeable on hot days. The air becomes thick and soupy to breathe. You sweat a lot, and your clothing very easily becomes damp and takes forever to dry out. I might prefer the cold honestly, but maybe that's my maple syrup blood speaking. I haven't done much traveling recently, but we did welcome a new ALT into our town, with all the excitement and fun that brings. 5 of us met up for a curry and katan night. It's probably the largest number of active ALTs in the Kuroshio area ever. It's cool watching someone else experience Japan for the first time. You can see the wonder, excitement, and motivation in everything they do. It reminds me of how I felt when I first arrived and everything was new for me. It's refreshing and a welcome change. A famous event in Kuroshio is the T-shirt art contest. Every year, artists from all over the world are welcome to share their photography and designs, and their artwork is displayed and judged on T-shirts. I submitted my design. It's an anime/cartoon drawing of my supervisor, whose favorite hobby is fishing. One day he shared with us a Buddhist proverb that went something like, "If a man wants to be happy for a day, he should get married. If a man wants to be happy for a week, he will kill and eat a boar. If a man wants to be happy for life, he should be a fisherman." So, obviously, I couldn't fit the entire proverb on a t-shirt, so I settled with just "happiness is fishing." I'm no graphic artist, but I'm happy with how it turned out. I believe the contest will be held soon, and the submissions are now closed. I hope I do well. If not, I'll at least have a cool t-shirt. I've been infrequently attending Japanese language lessons. For a beginner like me, I think it's good practice for speaking and listening, but not good for learning grammar, phrases, hiragana or katakana. In my opinion, all that boring memorization stuff must take place outside of class and then practiced in class. Admittedly, I don't study Japanese as hard as I should, and I didn't learn much before I came to Japan. Even so, I can feel myself slowly improving. Of languages to learn, in my opinion, I think Japanese is very beautiful and meaningful. I especially like Japanese names. I ate at Sushiro for the first time in Japan, and apparently many Japanese people dislike the restaurant and say it has cheap sushi. As a Canadian used to eating gas station California rolls for his sushi fix, my standards for sushi are low, and Sushiro to me was mind-boggling. I mean, it's amazing. You order sushi and other snack foods on a tablet at your table, and it all comes to you on a conveyor belt that wraps around other tables. Also, there are random plates of sushi that are okay for anyone to grab as they pass by. At the end of your meal, a waiter comes by and charges you by the number and also the color of plates you have. For example, 2 yellow plates might be 100 yen each, a black plate might be 250 yen, and you would owe in total 450 yen. I would put visiting a sushiro on your bucket list if you haven't been to Japan before. It's entertainment and a meal all in one. And truth be told, the sushi is quite inexpensive. This is a bit of an off-topic and personal contemplation, but with all the goodbyes and sadness that took place in March, I had plenty of time to ruminate on why I felt that way. Part of it is because it is the last time that I will ever see and interact with many of the people leaving, and I'm sad I'll never get the chance to do so again. I wish I could have one more English class or play basketball with them one more time, but I probably never will. All I'll have is memories, and very brief 4 months of memories at that. Therein lies another reason I was a little down, and I was constantly faced with the question, will the people, especially the kids here, remember me? I remember in my grade 5 class back in Canada, we had a French exchange teacher visit our school and work with us for about half a year. Her name was Marie. Through high school and university, I pretty much forgot she existed, but now that I'm an ALT, I think about her a lot. She pretty much had the same job that I do, but just in Canada. I wonder if my students in Japan will remember me, or if they'll forget me, just like I forgot Marie. Maybe it's vain to think I'm interesting enough to be worth being remembered. Even so, I'd like to think that if they do forget me, they'll at least be influenced by what I showed them, and if and when they deal with foreigners in the future, they'll think back to the fun and the laughs they had with their doofus ALT, and use that experience to approach foreigners and the outside world in the future. Foreigners aren't a novelty, magical, or anything of the sort, just as the Japanese people aren't. We're all simply human, and ultimately, we are more similar than we are different. And maybe that's me being idealistic and naive, but if I can show people that, and that's what they remember, I think I'll be satisfied. The sakura blooms last about 2 weeks before the petals fall. They symbolize the fleeting nature of life. It's short, beautiful, and may end before you are ready. In a way, ohanami is both the appreciation of flowers, but also the appreciation of life. So, take the time to enjoy the world, people, and life around you. Take care, and be bold.